Have you ever looked into the eyes of a creature and felt that strange, haunting reflection of yourself staring right back? Deep inside the emerald labyrinths of Borneo and Sumatra, where the air hangs heavy with mystery and the trees whisper secrets of time, lives a being so extraordinary it blurs the line between human and wild. The orangutan, the thinker of the forest. A soul with wisdom older than empires and a heart that feels almost human. They build homes every night, craft tools with purpose, mourn their dead, and even smile. Yes, smile when comforted. But as their world vanishes acre by acre, their silent story is fading into the mist. What if I told you that inside these jungles lies a civilization in its own right? One that speaks without words, loves without limits, and remembers more than we ever imagined. Tonight we step into their world, into the heart of the jungle, into the mind of the orangutan. So before we begin this incredible journey, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments below, because what you'll see tonight may just change how you see life itself. Every night, as the sun sinks behind the towering green walls of the Borneo rainforest and the jungle begins to hum with its nocturnal orchestra, a quiet ritual begins high above the forest floor. A massive hand covered in burnt orange hair reaches out to grasp a pliant branch, then another hand follows, twisting, bending, weaving. Within minutes, something remarkable takes shape, a home. Not a burrow, not a den, not a hollow in a tree, but a bed, soft, round, and precisely engineered. The orangutan, the thinker of the forest, is building its nest. This isn't a random pile of leaves or a crude shelter. Each nest is constructed with a level of care and planning that would impress an architect. First, the orangutan carefully chooses the perfect tree, one sturdy enough to hold its weight, high enough to stay safe from ground predators and close to the food sources it might need in the morning. It studies the branches like a craftsman inspecting raw material. Using its immense strength, it bends and interlocks the larger branches to form a firm bowl-shaped frame. Then, with surprising gentleness, it adds smaller twigs and leafy branches, layering them like bedding sheets to create a soft, springy surface. Sometimes it even adds extra branches for a headrest, yes, a pillow, adjusting it until it feels just right. And when the rain begins to fall, as it often does in these thick jungles, the orangutan doesn't panic or run for shelter. It simply pauses, looks around, and with a calm intelligence that feels eerily human, it pulls large leaves together and builds a canopy above its head, a roof, a green umbrella, perfectly designed to keep the rain away. Then it curls into a ball, wraps its long arms around its chest, and sleeps 30 meters above the ground while the forest breathes beneath it. Every night, it will repeat this process. Every single night, a new home, not because it has to, but because it chooses to. Scientists once thought this was mere instinct, but deeper observation revealed something else. Preference. Orangutans have taste. They build differently depending on the weather, their age, their mood. A mother with an infant builds a sturdier platform, double layered with side branches for protection. A lone male might craft a wide open nest that lets him watch the stars. Some even reuse old nests, repairing and modifying them like we renovate our homes. Each one tells a story, not of survival alone, but of comfort, thought, and emotion. It's astonishing when you think about it. Here, in the remote jungles of Southeast Asia, lives a being that constructs a bed with the same sense of intention and design we bring to our homes. While most animals find refuge wherever they can, orangutans create theirs. The word orangutan itself comes from the Malay orang-hutan, meaning person of the forest. And when you see them work, that translation feels less poetic and more literal. There's something deeply moving about the scene. A giant creature, silent except for the occasional rustle of leaves, crafting its world with its hands. No tools, no noise, no blueprints, just memory, intelligence, and peace. They don't compete for space. They don't destroy the trees they live in. They bend, never break. They take only what they need. And when dawn comes, they rise quietly, stretch their long arms, and descend slowly back into the waking jungle, leaving behind only the faint shape of a bed swaying in the breeze. If you could climb up and touch one, you'd be amazed. The structure feels springy yet firm, woven tightly, layered with the precision of a basket maker. Researchers who've studied these nests say they rival our hammocks in comfort and design. It's proof that thought exists beyond language, that planning and intention don't belong solely to us. Some nights, orangutans even make day nests, smaller versions for midday naps. Imagine that a creature that not only knows the meaning of work and rest, but also honors both. It reminds us that intelligence doesn't always shout. Sometimes it hums softly through the leaves at dusk. And so, in the darkness of the forest, while the world sleeps unaware, an orangutan closes its eyes in a home it built with its own hands, a home suspended between earth and sky, a home made of memory, care, and quiet genius. It's not just survival, it's artistry. A gentle reminder that even in the wildest corners of the world, creation isn't just human. It's a language written in the trees, whispered by a thinker with a human heart. The jungle never truly sleeps. Beneath the endless canopy of Borneo and Sumatra, where mist drifts like forgotten dreams and every rustle holds a secret, one creature quietly rewrites what we thought we knew about intelligence. As dawn spills through the trees, an orangutan awakens in its freshly made nest, stretches its long, sinewy arms, and begins its day. But unlike most animals that simply follow instinct, this one plans, it decides, it creates, and sometimes it even invents. There's a myth that tools are the mark of humanity, that only we can shape the world around us to suit our needs. But deep in these emerald forests, another species has been doing it all along. Watch closely and you'll see something almost unbelievable: an orangutan carefully tearing a broad leaf from a nearby tree. It folds it once, then twice, examining its texture, testing its strength. Then, when the first droplets of tropical rain begin to fall, it lifts the leaf and places it gently over its head, a natural umbrella. Not instinct, not coincidence, pure, deliberate ingenuity. And this is only the beginning. Orangutans have been observed using sticks to fish termites out of narrow tunnels or to scoop honey from beehives hidden within tree trunks. They modify branches, stripping them of leaves, trimming them to the perfect length, and use them as tools with precision. Some even test the flexibility of different sticks before choosing the right one, as if conducting their own field experiment. The way they manipulate their environment is nothing short of astonishing. In certain parts of the jungle, researchers have seen orangutans sharpening sticks with their teeth, turning them into pointed instruments. They use these to probe for insects, pry open fruit, or even test the depth of water before crossing. Imagine that a creature that not only uses tools but engineers them. Each movement reveals thought, choice, and adaptation. But what makes this story truly magical is not the act itself, it's the context. Orangutans aren't taught this behavior. There are no workshops, no instruction manuals, no elders standing over them, guiding their hands. Every generation learns by watching and imitating. Young orangutans study their mothers for years, memorizing each subtle gesture. When a mother uses a stick to gather ants, her child watches in silent fascination. And one day that child will do the same, but perhaps a little differently, a little better. The jungle becomes their classroom, and every rustle, every shadow, every challenge a lesson in survival and creativity. In one remarkable observation, scientists discovered orangutans fashioning gloves out of large leaves to handle spiny fruits. Others have been seen making sponges, bunching up leaves and dipping them into tree holes to drink water they can't reach otherwise. They have even used branches to scratch parts of their bodies they can't reach with their hands. Each of these actions reveals an understanding of cause and effect, a logical chain of thought that mirrors human reasoning in its purest form. But there's a deeper beauty here, the quiet humility of their intelligence. Orangutans don't build machines or cities, yet their brilliance lies in how seamlessly they live with nature, not against it. Their tools don't scar the forest, they blend with it. Every leaf used, every stick shaped returns to the earth when its purpose is done. It's intelligence without domination, wisdom and harmony. When rainstorms sweep across the forest and thunder rolls like a beating drum, you might find one sitting high above, dry beneath its leafy umbrella, calmly waiting for the storm to pass. There's something profoundly human in that image: patience, problem solving, and peace. It reminds us that thinking doesn't always mean conquering. Sometimes it means understanding. And perhaps the most extraordinary part: orangutans don't just adapt to their environment, they transform it subtly, gently, creatively. Their use of tools is not survival alone. It's expression, a reflection of curiosity and learning, a mirror held up to our own beginnings, the spark that first lit our ancestors' minds. In the hush of the jungle, among dripping leaves and echoing calls, an orangutan lifts a branch, tests it, and bends it to its will. It's not just surviving, it's inventing. A quiet genius hidden in the treetops, crafting its world with nothing but instinct, intelligence, and imagination. And in that single act, we're reminded that the line between us and them is not as wide as we once believed. In the heart of the forest, intelligence has many faces, and one of them is covered in orange hair and shadowed by leaves. In the heart of the rainforest, where sunlight breaks through the canopy in golden shards and the air vibrates with life, there's a silence more profound than sound itself, the silence of understanding without words. Here, in this living cathedral of green, the orangutan reigns as the quiet philosopher. It does not roar like the tiger, nor chatter endlessly like the monkeys that leap between the vines. Its language is softer, woven not from sound, but from the subtle symphony of the face. A twitch of the eyebrow, a widening of the eyes, the curl of a lip to the untrained eye. These gestures are small, but in truth, they are the verses of a rich, emotional language that reveals the deep heart of this remarkable creature. The orangutan's face is a living canvas. Scientists have identified more than 60 distinct expressions, each carrying meaning, not random motions, but deliberate communication. A gentle squint can mean curiosity, a relaxed grin, trust. When two orangutans meet after a long separation, their eyes soften, their lips part slightly, and a slow smile spreads across their faces. It's not an act of submission or dominance, it's recognition, a moment that says, "I remember you." When a mother orangutan looks into the face of her baby, there's something unmistakably human in her gaze. Her eyes follow every tiny movement, every breath. She mirrors the infant's expressions, responding with her own, an instinctive emotional dialogue. That connection, that mirroring, is one of the earliest signs of empathy, and orangutans show it with a tenderness that would melt the hardest heart. They don't just see, they feel what the other feels. And somehow, in their silence, they say everything. In the depths of the jungle, researchers have watched pairs of orangutans communicate without a sound. A glance toward a fruit tree, a tilt of the head, a brief touch, and both know where to go. There's an elegance in that simplicity, a shared intelligence that needs no words. They read the rhythm of each other's bodies the way we might read poetry. Their eyes, deep amber and reflective, carry stories of curiosity, longing, mischief, and sometimes heartbreak. It's that depth of expression that makes them so eerily familiar. When an orangutan is angry, its face tightens, its brow furrows, its mouth presses into a thin line, the same physical signals humans display. When it's afraid, its eyes widen, its body tenses. When it's playful, its lips stretch into what can only be called a smile, and when it's content, that smile lingers serene and knowing. These expressions aren't mere reflexes, they're glimpses into a world of emotion that mirrors our own. But there's one moment that truly reveals the soul beneath the fur: when an orangutan feels grief. There have been recorded cases where a mother, after losing her child, carries the tiny body for days. Her eyes lose their light. She holds the limp form close, grooming it gently, as if hoping it will wake. No cries, no howls, only a heavy stillness and unbearable silence. It's in that moment, in those eyes filled with sorrow and love, that we see it, the undeniable bridge between their world and ours. Facial expressions aren't just about emotion, they're about connection. They're a language that binds family, ensures peace, and maintains the harmony of life high in the treetops. When two males meet and tensions rise, a single grimace or a direct stare can settle the matter without a fight. It's diplomacy expressed through the smallest muscles of the face. The jungle is not lawless chaos, it's a realm of subtle order, governed by cues we are only beginning to understand. It's easy to think of intelligence in terms of words, tools, or numbers. But what if true wisdom lies in empathy, in the ability to feel and to understand others without needing to speak? The orangutan's face tells us that emotions are not inventions of civilization, they are ancient primal truths shared across species. When an orangutan smiles, it isn't mimicry, it's memory, awareness, affection. It's the forest speaking through expression. And when you stand before one in a sanctuary, perhaps, or through the dense foliage of a jungle clearing, and it looks at you, there's a spark that steals your breath away. You realize that you are not being watched by an animal. You're being seen by another mind, one that understands joy, pain, and wonder just as you do. The space between those two gazes becomes sacred, a silent bridge between human and wild, built entirely on the power of a single expression. In that instant, you understand why they are called persons of the forest. Not because they walk like us or eat like us, but because in their eyes, in their faces, and in their hearts, they are like us. The jungle doesn't need words. Its true language has always been spoken through the eyes. Deep within the emerald heart of the rainforest, where the air hums with life and the scent of earth and rain clings to every breath, time itself seems to move differently. Here, among towering trees older than memory, the orangutan moves with a patience that feels almost sacred. Its world is vast yet familiar, chaotic yet perfectly ordered, a labyrinth of branches, fruit, and shadow. And within this sprawling jungle, it carries something extraordinary, a map, not written in ink or carved in stone, but etched into the folds of its memory. A living, breathing atlas of the forest and of time. The orangutan remembers it doesn't wander aimlessly in search of food or shelter. It plans its path, tracing invisible routes through the canopy with uncanny precision. Scientists have followed them for months, tracking their movements, only to find patterns so deliberate they border on astonishing. An orangutan can recall the exact locations of dozens, sometimes hundreds, of fruit trees scattered across miles of dense jungle. It knows not only where they are, but when they will bear fruit again. It remembers which trees bloom early, which ripen late, which yield the sweetest taste, and which have gone barren. Imagine navigating a forest the size of a small country without maps, without technology, without leaving a single mark, and yet knowing it so intimately that you could return to a single tree at the precise week when its fruit has ripened after months of dormancy. That is the mind of an orangutan. It doesn't just live in the forest, it carries the forest within. Researchers once believed that this kind of spatial awareness was unique to humans and a few other primates, but the orangutan has rewritten that story. Its intelligence is both logical and emotional, guided by memory but anchored in patience. It doesn't rush from place to place, it waits. When fruit runs scarce, it changes its path, traveling great distances to find new trees, and yet it never seems lost. Even after weeks, it can return to the same spot without hesitation. It knows the routes of rivers, the crossing of vines, the positions of trees that offer shade or rest. Its brain holds a map that shifts and breathes with the seasons. To the orangutan, every tree is a landmark, every scent a clue. The forest is not chaos, It's a library, and the orangutan is its quiet reader. When you watch one move through the jungle, it seems as though it's gliding, pausing briefly to sniff a branch, then swinging onward, guided by instinct and memory. But what looks like instinct is far more complex. It's thought, it's calculation, it's the kind of awareness that suggests understanding not just of space, but of time itself. One of the most remarkable discoveries about orangutans is how they share this memory across generations. A mother teaches her young not through words, but through journeys. For years, sometimes up to 8, the infant clings to her as she travels, watching, learning. Every route she takes, every tree she visits, every rest she makes becomes a lesson. Slowly, the forest imprints itself onto the young one's mind. By the time the juvenile is ready to live alone, it carries a full mental map of the jungle, a legacy of survival passed from one generation to the next, not through DNA, but through lived experience. There's poetry in that, an inheritance not written in blood, but in memory. The forest itself becomes a teacher, and the orangutan its devoted student. When fruit becomes scarce due to drought or human intrusion, orangutans adapt. They remember hidden sources of nourishment, seeds, bark, even rare plants that others overlook. Their memory is not static, it evolves, responds, endures, and yet, for all its brilliance, this delicate intelligence is under siege. As logging and deforestation rip through Borneo and Sumatra, the map inside the orangutan's mind begins to crumble. The trees it remembers, the ones that fed its mother and her mother before her, are disappearing. Imagine carrying the memory of a home that no longer exists, walking paths that lead to emptiness, returning to fruit trees that have been turned to ash. That's what the orangutan faces every day. Still, it endures. Even as its world shrinks, it continues to remember, to adapt, to navigate what remains. It finds new ways, new routes, new rhythms. Its resilience is a quiet defiance, a reminder that intelligence is not only about invention, but about persistence. The orangutan's memory is more than a survival tool. It is a love letter to the forest itself. Each journey it takes is an act of faith, a belief that somewhere, beyond the next bend of branches, life still thrives. If you ever stand in that forest and feel the weight of its silence, you might sense it. The invisible lines of memory woven between the trees, a living network of stories and paths traced by generations of forest thinkers. Every rustle, every movement, every pause is a conversation between the past and the present. And in that vast green expanse, the orangutan moves, not as a wanderer, but as a guardian of memory, carrying the map of the jungle in its mind and the rhythm of its heart in every step. In the quiet cradle of the rainforest, where morning mist curls around the treetops like soft silk, there is a sight that can steal your breath away. A mother orangutan and her child, clinging tightly to her chest. The infant's tiny fingers grasp her fur with the trust only innocence knows. Every movement she makes, every swing, every pause, every careful step is guided not just by instinct, but by something deeper, love. A love that is fierce, patient, and eternal. From the moment an orangutan baby enters the world, it becomes the center of its mother's universe. She gives birth high in the canopy, in a nest she built with her own hands, surrounded by the whispers of leaves and the pulse of the jungle. There, she holds her newborn close, wrapping her long arms around it in a tender cocoon of warmth and safety. For the first few months, she never lets go. The baby clings to her constantly, while she eats, while she travels, even while she sleeps. Her heartbeat becomes its lullaby, her scent its entire world. But the beauty of this bond isn't only in the closeness, it's in the time. An orangutan mother dedicates nearly 8 years to her child, longer than almost any other animal on Earth. In the wild, that's an eternity. During those years, she becomes everything: teacher, protector, provider, and friend. She shows her baby how to find fruit hidden beneath thick leaves, how to test a branch before stepping onto it, how to weave a nest that can cradle them both through the storm. Every gesture, every lesson is infused with care. There's no rush in her teaching. The jungle moves slowly, and so does she. When her little one struggles to reach a branch, she doesn't pull it up quickly. She waits, watches, encourages. The lesson is in the effort. And when the baby finally succeeds, she rewards it with a gentle pat or a soft grunt of approval. In those small moments, something profound happens, a transmission of wisdom, passed not through words but through patience and love. Their bond is so strong that even researchers, seasoned in the ways of the wild, are often moved to silence when they see it. There's an unmistakable tenderness in the way a mother looks at her child, an expression of pride and peace that feels hauntingly human. The infant, in turn, gazes back with trust so complete it's almost sacred. That bond isn't just emotional, it's biological. The mother's brain releases powerful hormones when she touches her baby, reinforcing the connection, deepening it with every heartbeat. It's as though nature itself refuses to let them part. And when danger approaches, a leopard, a python, even the roar of chainsaws in the distance, the mother transforms, Her quiet grace turns into courage. She'll hide, fight, or flee, but she will never leave her child behind. There are stories of mothers who starved rather than abandoned their young, of others who carried their dead infants for days, unable to accept the loss. The weight of her love is both her greatest strength and her deepest sorrow. Even as the baby grows, the bond remains unbroken. Around the age of 6 or 7, the young orangutan begins to explore independently, swinging from nearby branches while the mother watches closely. She allows it space, but never distance. And when the child is frightened or tired, it returns to her arms where safety still waits. The forest is their home, but she is its heart. Eventually, when the time comes for the young one to leave, it's a quiet parting. There's no ceremony, no goodbye, just a slow drift apart, like two leaves carried by different winds. Yet, for years after, even when separated by miles, they sometimes find each other again, and when they do, they share a moment of recognition, a soft touch, a familiar glance, a spark of memory that says, "I know you." That connection never fades. The devotion of an orangutan mother is more than maternal instinct. It is devotion in its purest, most enduring form. It's a love story written in the treetops, a promise whispered from one generation to the next. Her care shapes not only her child's survival, but its soul. In the stillness of the jungle, their bond becomes something larger than life, a reminder that the truest expressions of love often need no words at all. And as the night falls over the forest, you can sometimes glimpse her silhouette high against the twilight sky, a mother curled around her sleeping child in the nest they built together, rocking gently in the rhythm of the wind. The jungle may seem vast, endless, and wild, but to her, the entire world begins and ends with the heartbeat pressed against her own. As dawn breaks over the dense jungles of Borneo and Sumatra, the first light cuts through the mist and dances on a silence that feels sacred. The forest awakens in whispers, the call of hornbills, the rustle of leaves, the distant rhythm of unseen life. But among these sounds lies a sorrow that grows louder every year, a silence slowly replacing the songs of the wild. In the depths of this green kingdom, one of Earth's most intelligent and gentle beings, the orangutan is disappearing, not through some ancient curse of nature, but through the hands of those who claim to be its stewards. For thousands of years, the orangutan has lived in harmony with the rainforest, building its nest high among the branches, nurturing its young with patience, and shaping its world with quiet brilliance. But today, that world is being stripped away tree by tree, acre by acre. Vast stretches of lush jungle that once echoed with life now lie silent beneath the smoke of burning forests. The orangutan's home, its entire universe, is being devoured by an unrelenting hunger for palm oil, timber, and every week nearly 100 orangutans vanish. Some are lost to fire, trapped in infernos lit to clear land for plantations. Others are hunted, sold illegally, or starve when their feeding grounds are destroyed. The numbers are staggering, but behind each one is a face, a mother clutching her infant as the trees around her collapse, a juvenile wandering the ash looking for fruit that will never return, an elder watching the horizon that once was forest, now barren and silent. Deforestation doesn't just steal their shelter, it erases their memories. Orangutans depend on their deep knowledge of the forest to survive, remembering which trees fruit in what season, which paths lead to safety, where water hides during droughts. When the trees fall, those memories turn to ghosts. The map in their minds, built over generations, suddenly leads nowhere. Imagine waking up one morning to find your home, your city, your world erased not slowly, but in a single night of fire. That is the tragedy of the orangutan. And yet, despite the devastation they endure, in sanctuaries and pockets of untouched jungle, survivors adapt to a world reshaped by human hands. They learn to cross wide gaps between broken forests to find food in unfamiliar places. Some have even been seen navigating old logging roads, their eyes scanning the emptiness that once held endless green. There's a haunting resilience in that image, a creature of ancient peace walking through the ruins of paradise, still hoping to find life beyond the smoke. But hope is fragile. Every forest cleared brings them closer to extinction. Every tree felled silences another heartbeat of the jungle. The orangutan's gentle eyes, so human in their depth, now mirror our own reflection, a species capable of creation, yet guilty of destruction. The irony is unbearable. The person of the forest, as their name means, losing their home because of the choices of another person, the one who calls himself civilized. Still, there are glimmers of light within the dark canopy. Conservationists, villagers, and scientists fight every day to protect what remains, rescuing infants from illegal trade, restoring fragments of lost forests, reintroducing survivors to the wild. Their efforts are quiet acts of rebellion against the tide of greed. And when an orangutan, once orphaned and broken, climbs its first tree again, the jungle seems to breathe with it. The leaves rustle like applause. The earth remembers what it means to be whole. But this fight cannot rest in the hands of a few. It belongs to all who share this planet. Every choice we make, what we buy, what we ignore, what we protect, ripples outward, touching even the farthest corners of the forest. The orangutan's fate is not separate from ours. It is a reflection of our own story. When they vanish, a part of us vanishes too. The the part that still remembers what it means to live in balance with the earth. And so, as night returns to the jungle and the last call of a gibbon fades, the orangutan builds its nest one more time. The stars shimmer faintly above the treetops that still stand, and somewhere in the shadows, a mother holds her child close, whispering to it in the language of silence. Around them, the forest sighs, scarred but alive, wary but unbroken. For now, the jungle still breathes. The thinker of the forest still dreams. But the question lingers like mist among the trees: for how much longer will we let them dream?